Welcome back. I'm David Knight, and joining us now is a U.S. Senate candidate, Austin Petersen. There's a primary in Missouri on Tuesday, and I wanted to get Jordan on because, sorry, not Jordan, but Austin. I was talking about Jordan Peterson earlier. No, Austin Petersen. But I wanted to get him on because he has run afoul of the people who have become the guardians of hate speech. He was banned, and I want to get clarification from him because I've seen it listed a couple of different ways, either for 12 hours or for 12 days just before the primary, because he tweeted out as a joke response to somebody a GIF that was taken from Twitter's own file collection. And that GIF is Joseph Stalin waving his hand saying, "Off to the gulag now." Now, that's from Twitter's files. You know, here's some GIFs that you can use when you respond to people. So he uses that, and they ban him for using that. So joining us now is Austin Petersen. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Hey, good morning, David. Thanks for having me.
First of all, was it 12 days or 12 hours that they banned you?
It was 12 hours. The humorless, politically correct police are out in full force at all times. They apparently don't like it when you show a picture of their dear leader.
That's right. It is a Stalinist tactic, isn't it? I mean, they want to rush everybody off to the gulag or to the ghetto, as Matt Drudge pointed out. You know, that's what these social media platforms have become. And it's not your only run-in with the thought police. We'll talk about your ban from Twitter and the AR-15 that you were giving away and what you're now going to be giving away, which is a ghost gunner mechanism, which is something that is now the threat du jour of the people who are out there trying to panic everyone. But let's talk about why they labeled you as a Russian agent, because I think that was really funny and worthy of the kind of response that you gave with that GIF of Stalin.
Well, you must be doing something right when your Democratic opponent, Super PAC, labels you as a Russian conspirator. Claire McCaskill claims about a week ago that she had been hacked by Russian agents. We have not seen any evidentiary proof that that is the fact, just that we saw from her minions in the media who reported it for her. So apparently what happened was the Super PAC saw that I was accepting Bitcoin for my campaign, and they tried to insinuate that perhaps I might be implicated in this attack against Claire because Russian hackers use Bitcoin or something. Well, Claire McCaskill accepts Federal Reserve notes. I mean, she must be in with the drug cartels because they accept dollars too, right? So it's
that's amazing.
By association. Yeah, it's hilarious. But I just responded with a picture of Stalin saying "off to gulag," and they thought, well, he must have a gulag. This is a credible threat. He's going to actually put us in a gulag, and I got banned.
Well, you know, when I saw that, I thought she's taken this right out of the playbook of Hillary Clinton. You know, when she's in trouble because they announced that her husband had gotten $131 million of companies that she had some influence with and so forth. So it looked like influence peddling of a lot of money there. So she comes out and says, "Oh, but I was hacked by the Russians." So don't pay any attention to that report about the $131 million. And she's in a very vulnerable position. That's the way I read that. But let's talk a little bit about the other banning that you had, which is on Facebook. Of course, you got Facebook banned for a giveaway of AR-15 rifles, and now you're doubling down on something that is even a bigger boogeyman for the left, and that's the 3D printed plastic guns, what they like to call the ghost guns, because that sounds really scary to call them ghost guns.
It does. Now, Facebook banned me when I was giving away an AR-15, which is, of course, perfectly legal, and the terms of service didn't ban it. But what happened was we found out that their chief operating officer, Sheryl Sandberg, had contributed the maximum to Claire McCaskill in this election. Once we revealed that little fact, that they were funding my opponent and banning me, they unbanned me pretty quick. The Ghost Gunner 2 machine giveaway is actually a First Amendment issue. It's not as much a Second Amendment issue.
That's right.
Because it depends on whether or not you should be legally allowed to share blueprints online, which is free speech. These kinds of plans that have existed since the internet existed. When I was a little kid, somebody gave me a copy of the Anarchist Cookbook. Maybe they shouldn't have done that. I didn't use it improperly, but that information has always been free speech. The Ghost Gunner 2 is not a 3D printing machine. It's a mill. Anybody can buy a mill. They're usually very expensive. So this is a small tabletop mill. And all it does is cut metal so that you can fashion yourself a firearm that doesn't contain a serial number. And of course, unless you believe in some sort of universal gun registration, what is exactly the point of a serial number anyway? I don't believe in that kind of a tactic anyway. I believe in the Second Amendment. I did this as a tactic to explain to people why my Republican opponent, who came out in favor of gun control early, is not a good Republican candidate to take on Claire McCaskill. And we've successfully ignited this debate. And thankfully, it's been a big news issue for us. And we can explain to people why this is not something that is dangerous. It's really not necessarily all that unique, other than the fact that it's very small and inexpensive. But as you can see, the left's heads are exploding. I've been getting death threats nonstop for the last week because the tolerant left, of course, they would never put you in a gulag. I'll tell you that. They would never, FDR would never put Japanese in camps. The Democrats would never do something horrible like that. It's those evil Republicans, of course.
And they've shown that they hate the First Amendment more than they hate the Second Amendment, I think. I mean, if that's possible, it's a close run. But you're right. When we talk about gun registration, we're really talking about people registration. And this is a First Amendment issue. This is why the State Department was involved in it. They were making the absurd claim that if you put something on the Internet, you are exporting it, and that's the nonsense basis of this. But we just got a couple of minutes left. I know you've only got one segment with us. We got the primary coming up on Tuesday. Tell us why Republicans should vote for you.
Well, I'm pro-life, pro-liberty, pro-constitution. I started my political career as a son of the Ron Paul Revolution. I believe in liberty. I want to lock arms with Senator Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, and Mike Lee next year. I want to support the House Freedom Caucus. My Republican opponent came out early in favor of gun control. In a head-to-head matchup, I'm the only Republican who beats Claire McCaskill by double digits. This is a state that Trump won by 19 points, so you should be blowing Claire away, who is the least popular member of Congress. But the Mitch McConnell pick in this race, who is supporting my opponent, Josh Hawley, he's only neck and neck or losing to her in the polls. So if you want the strongest Republican Senate candidate against Claire McCaskill, I'm our best bet to restore life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. A vote for Austin Petersen is a vote to restore the republic.
And I think that's very important because, we're going to see a political reorganizing, I think, around the issue of liberty. That's what America was founded upon, was the issue of liberty. That is a very strong position, and it cuts across lines, just as President Trump, when he starts talking about American jobs being lost, that cuts across political lines. And so that is the way that we need to have a realignment there. And as you pointed out, your opponent is going to compromise on a lot of these issues. I mean, when you talk about supporting gun control, was he there with the red flag gun control issues, or what was it specifically?
It was pretty scary. He's actually to the left of the Obama administration because he says we need to move swiftly to ban firearms accessories using executive orders, which, is unconstitutional, of course. And then he said he was open to other gun control measures as well. He's refused to debate me because I want to ask him what those other gun control measures are. You can't out-left the left. If you try and pander to the leftists are going to beat you every time. They're not going to vote for a constitutional conservative or a Republican. As a former libertarian, now Republican, I'm the candidate who can get the libertarian votes. I can get the independents and the Democrats and fire Claire.
Party lines don't matter. Liberty matters, folks.
That's right.
And compromise matters. And if you get somebody that is only slightly different from a Democrat, what difference does it make if the Republican Party wins anyway? It's just going to help Mitch McConnell. Pay attention, people in Missouri. You got your choice to make on Tuesday. You want to have somebody you can really vote for when it comes around November? Think about Austin Petersen. Thank you, Austin. Good luck. Welcome back. I'm David Knight. We talked to Austin Petersen. He is going to be standing in the primary on Tuesday in Missouri for U.S. Senate. Again, folks, parties don't matter. I mean, he's running as a Republican. It doesn't matter what party you're running at. But do you want a choice against Claire McCaskill? I mean, this is the guy who is the only Republican candidate who is strongly beating her. And he's the only one who is offering you a choice for liberty. The other people are just clones of the establishment Republicans like Mitch McConnell. You're not going to see anything change with these other people. You're not going to feel any better to get somebody that just has an R behind their name. So think about that. And I didn't give out the information. AustinForSenate.com is his website. And on Twitter, you can find him at AP4Liberty.